now helu din selele, 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 selele. Open now helu din selele.
For the third and final task, Igodo instructed them to retrieve a powerful weapon, the Oduwa. The Oduwa was a powerful machete forged from fire. Recognizing the powers of Igodo, the supreme sky god, the first inhabitants of Otodo offered the machete as a gift to him, as a symbol of peace and reverence between Igodo and the indigenous people of Otodo. The Oduwa machete had been stolen during an Osirian ceremony by a wicked demon spirit and now lay hidden deep within the most dangerous labyrinth rainforest in the whole world, the Ovia rainforest. It was said that only a true descendant of Igodo could retrieve the powerful machete from the Ovia rainforest. But the Ovia rainforest was no ordinary rainforest. It was an enormous and dangerous labyrinth with 3 branches woven in spirals round each other. It was said to be haunted by evil spirits and was home to several dangerous creatures and poisonous plants. One prick of the poisonous plant and you could end up dead, or worse, blinded with untreatable cancerous sores all over the body. After many torturous days, Eghosa and Emose arrived at the Ovia rainforest. They walked into the rainforest with caution, their eyes scanning the dense foliage for any signs of danger. Not soon after, they heard a rustling sound in the bushes. Eghosa unsheathed his machete, ready to face whatever lay ahead. Out from the bushes emerged a 2-horned, fierce-looking beast with red, glowing eyes. It was the infamous forest demon known as the Ekwensu, and it stood between them and the weapon they needed. The Ekwensu's long, sharp claws could cut the strongest tree into half, and hot fire leaked out from its thick, cloven hooves. Eghosa charged forward, his machete gleaming in the dim light of the forest. The angry Ekwensu roared and lashed out with its razor-sharp claws. He dodged and weaved, his movements fluid and quick. While Emose used the magical emerald gem to keep the wicked poisonous plants from stinging her and Eghosa, the beast landed a heavy blow on Eghosa's rib. Eghosa tumbled forward to fall, but not before he slashed the cheek of the beast, which angered it further. Emose managed to wither the poisonous plants to ashes. Then she flung her spear at the beast's neck, which momentarily weakened him. Eghosa, though weak, got up and together the two fought bravely against the horned demon, but they were bruised and bloodied. While Eghosa held the beast off, Emose stumbled over to a nearby bush and cut off a yellow poisonous plant. She picked it up with her wrapper and used it to flog the beast bloody until it fell to the floor, weakening it even further. Eghosa then plunged his machete spear clean into the beast's chest, and it let out a piercing scream before collapsing to the ground. Eghosa and Emose breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that they had overcome yet another obstacle. They made their way to the center of the forest, where they found the long-lost weapon, Oduwa, resting in a stone pedestal. Eghosa lifted it up, feeling the weight of its power in his hands. "We've done it," Emose said, her eyes shining with pride. "Yes," Eghosa replied, his voice filled with determination. "Now it's time to face Ogiso Ewuare." Igodo's eyes glimmered with pride as he watched Eghosa and Emose complete the final task from the skies. He was proud of his descendant, Eghosa, and what he had accomplished with sheer human grit. Then he created a pathway up to the firmaments for them to walk through so he could bestow upon them his powerful gift. As they entered into the kingdom of the gods, the duo placed the rare flower, the magical emerald gem, and the Oduwa machete in a golden calabash. Like spirits possessed, the three items floated up above the heads of Eghosa and Emose, and they began to move. The magical emerald gem floated near to the Oduwa machete and guided itself into the handle of the machete, nesting itself perfectly into the handle. And the flower from the Dahomey mountains crushed itself into ashes. The ashes swirled round and round until it turned into liquid form. The ancient sky god then poured it into a golden chalice. He gave first to Eghosa to drink, then Emose. Suddenly, they began to manifest superhuman strengths in them. The air around them began to vibrate with cosmic energy as they absorbed power unlike any they have ever tasted, their bodies glowing with newfound strength. Then they set out to confront the wicked Ogiso Ewuare. The sky grew dark as they entered the city. The air itself tingled with oppressive aura of Ogiso Ewuare's malevolent enchantments. Unafraid and strengthened, Eghosa and Emose marched forward fearlessly, determined to end his reign of terror once and for all. The royal army stood in rows, armored up and awaiting Eghosa and Emose. But Eghosa was powered up. His grip tightened around the shaft of his spear. His eyes focused on the enemy army as they charged towards him. He held his ground, waiting for the right moment to strike. 3 soldiers moved towards him, and with lightning-fast movements, he lunged forward, his machete piercing through the armor of the first soldier. He gave a fatal kick at the head of the second soldier, grabbed the sword of his opponent, and used it to end the life of the third. Blood spurted out from their wounds, and all 3 fell to the ground, lifeless. Emose was already in the thick of battle, her blades swirling as she fended off multiple opponents at once, avenging her loyal bodyguards who had fallen for her sake. A royal soldier came behind her with his spear raised, but he was dealing with a mortal with immeasurable power. The warrior princess dodged his feeble strike, then spun around to deliver a swift kick to her attacker's stomach. He heard the sound of flesh hitting flesh and knew she had landed the hit. Their enemies closed in, but Eghosa and Emose were not deterred. They moved as one, their movements fluid and precise. Eghosa swung his spear in a wide arc, taking out 2 soldiers at once, while Emose darted in and out of the melee, her daggers flashing as she struck with deadly accuracy. As the battle raged on, the divine strength of Igodo coursed through their veins, fueling their every move. But Ogiso stood at the top of the great bronze palace, performing a dark ritual that seemed to snap the life force from the surrounding area. But his juju were not working against Eghosa and Emose. Instead, the more he performed his ritual, the more his soldiers fell, gathering dust all around. Not long after the dust settled, the duo stood victorious. Bodies of their enemies lay dismembered and dead. Eghosa and Emose charged towards Ogiso Ewuare, their eyes locked onto their enemy as they brandished their weapons. The Ogiso sneered at them. "You think you can defeat me?" he bellowed, his voice echoing through. "I am the ruler of Igodomigodo, and you are nothing." Emose's grip on her sword tightened as she glared at Ogiso Ewuare. Eghosa stepped forward, his spear at the ready. "You have caused enough pain and suffering. You have made mothers childless and made Igodomigodo barren. It's time for you to pay for your crimes." With a powerful thrust, Eghosa plunged the weapon, Oduwa, into Ogiso's chest, and the evil ruler fell to the ground with a thud. The people of Igodomigodo erupted into cheers, their voices ringing through the air as they hailed Eghosa and Emose as heroes. Eghosa and Emose gazed out at the scene before them, the dust slowly settling around them. The battlefield was strewn with the fallen bodies of Ogiso Ewuare's army, and the once mighty ruler lay lifeless at their feet. Breathless and weary, they turned to face the cheering crowds of the people of Igodomigodo, whose voices were lifted up in celebration, their cheers ringing through the air like music. And so, the evil rule of Ogiso Ewuare came to an end. Eghosa was crowned the new ruler of Igodomigodo, and Emose was given the title of Idiake, the first female chief of Igodomigodo. Eghosa vowed to rule his people with love and protect them from further harm. Together, they promised to usher in a new era of peace and prosperity. The end.